Hello everyone and welcome to a special episode of Godsaul's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run over here on youtube.com/UC Campbell. And well, this was later than I was expecting to do this, but as you might even be able to tell through my voice at this point in time, this is going to be my review for WWE Royal Rumble 2019. I was expecting myself to do this a little bit sooner, even sooner in the day. As of right now, it is Monday night. I believe it's airing. Monday Night Raw is actually airing on the East Coast at this point in time, so it is. It's one of those I'm kind of avoiding that because it doesn't air on my side until for like another hour or so. So I'm not even sure what's going on there. Some stuff might be even moot of what I'm saying at this point in time, but I'm going to go ahead and, as you also might be able to tell through the sound of my voice, being there live last night, my voice is practically gone at this point in time. But I did want to at least do a review for WWE Royal Rumble 2019, which I'll overall say was a pretty good show. And I am going to give kind of a perspective of being in the crowd more than watching on TV. So I don't know what the commentator said or anything to go along with that. I have yet to go watch it back to see how it comes off on TV as well. It was definitely a fun experience. In even to a certain degree, it felt like it was a long show, but for the most part, the entire show kept at least me enthralled throughout the entire thing, even during what was considered the most dead match of the night, which was AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, at least in the terms of crowd reaction. There was at least a decent amount of people in the section I was in that was into that match, but not too many people really into that match in any way, shape, or form. And to a certain degree, based off of its placement, I would not blame them to go along with it, though I thought it was an excellent match on that side of everything. But that's how I personally feel about that one. To let you know that I did not get into Chase Field, and this was mainly by design because it actually didn't take us that long to get in there once we got down there, but we did go in a little bit later. I think me and the group of people that I was with for yesterday, we got down there just about 4 o'clock. So it was about an hour into the pre-show. Apparently we missed Bobby Roode and Chad Gable going up against what was it, Razor and Scott Dawson, or was it Dash Wilder? It was one of the Revival, and a very interesting bit. I heard about this a little bit later on that one. So apparently if the half of the Revival and half of AOP won the match, they were going to get future title shots, which that ended up not happening. Apparently the way the match ended up going was a lot of miscommunication from the member of AOP and the member of the Revival, and Chad Gable and Bobby Roode ended up picking up the victory. So this leads into the this will lead into the U.S. title match, which was Shinsuke Nakamura going up against Rusev. And as I said, we got in there, we were getting in there about 4:10ish. So this match was beginning as we were in line for tickets, which I was pretty much sitting there watching the match on my phone at that point in time as we were waiting to get in. On that particular one, and then of course we got in there as the match was still going on as well. Honestly, I thought this was actually a pretty good match. I thought their match on Christmas Day was also a good one. You can almost tell to a certain degree, and I don't know how much fans can really tell, but you can kind of tell that Shinsuke's maybe a little checked out at this point in time. I don't know if that's the actual case, but that's how I feel how it goes, or how it is on that side with him at this point in time. It's not like he doesn't put the effort in the ring, but you can kind of tell in his face that he might be a little bit checked out from WWE based upon how he's been used and everything to go along with it. And honestly, I don't know if I really blame him on that one. I don't know. Because we honestly don't know how he feels. That's just an observation of what I've been seeing to go along with it. On that particular one, that's more of an observation on that one. That's not any type of fact or anything to go along with it. He just looks a little checked out. But honestly, this match again was very good, and they put a storyline beat into this match that actually made the pre-show kind of matter in the end. And the storyline beat was towards the end of the match, Shinsuke was going to remove the turnbuckle, and Lana started arguing with Shinsuke. Rusev goes to attack Shinsuke, but runs into Lana, knocks her off the ring apron, and she hurts her ankle. This does cause enough distraction of Rusev, as he was trying to either check on Lana or telling her to get up. I forget which one it was on that particular side. And then Shinsuke Nakamura hits the Kinshasa to the back of Rusev and the neck area and kind of the back of the head area, and picks up the victory and regains the United States title. I was not expecting them to take that title off of Shinsuke Nakamura or off of Rusev so quickly, but that is the case of what they did. Now, will they only do some more stuff with this Knock America thing then, if they're going to put that title back on them? I think that has potential of being something good, but who knows? Who knows on that particular one? That's just kind of how I feel to go along with it. So this leads us to the final pre-show match, which was the Cruiserweight title match. It was Buddy Murphy going up against Akira Tozawa, Hideo Itami, and Kalisto, and ooh, this was a good match. This was a very good match. Very high pace, fast pace. Lots of action in this particular one. Spots, honestly, it's too hard to call all the different spots. The Tower of Doom spot that they kind of had, where Hideo Itami was looking like he was about to do something off the middle rope, but Kalisto dives, or not Kalisto, but Akira Tozawa dives through, and Kalisto Hurricanrana's Buddy Murphy. I thought that was really good. Just all tons and tons of action. I liked even at the beginning, it's like Hideo kind of not saying, not going for a any of the action right at the beginning. It's like all four of them were facing off, and then Hideo just bails out of the ring right at the beginning of the match. I like certain things like that, but they, like I said, even for everything, they fit a lot into this 12-minute window that apparently the match was, and it was really good. It was a really, really good match. This is one of those, actually, yeah, if you have a little bit of time, go check it out. It was good. This was one of those, go check it out if you haven't checked it out type of things. It's kind of hard to describe all the action in there. The ending did come after Kalisto and Akira Tozawa had been taken out, and then Buddy Murphy basically V-triggers Hideo Itami a couple times. And I think he even did the Golden Star knee as well. The variation that Kota Ibushi uses, and then he hits Murphy's Law on Hideo Itami and picks up the victory. Very good match, very enjoyable. So this brings us to the main card. They start off the show with, well, they started foreshadowing a lot of different things. They started off with Asuka going up against Becky Lynch, and the pop Becky Lynch got was absolutely insane, and it's crazy being inside of that ball field to go along with it. Just for reference, inside of the ball field, I didn't get to see the full upper bowl throughout the entire thing from where we were sitting. We were sitting in section 108. So it was kind of off the side of the entrance ramp on the right field side. I don't know, they probably didn't really recognize, you probably didn't even recognize which portion of the fielding it was on, but we were pretty, like, we were on what would have been the right hand side of the entrance ramp in section 108. So I didn't get to see the upper bowl that was right next to us, but for the most part the upper bowl was filled. There were some seats that were empty, yes, to go along with it. That is to kind of be expected, especially in the upper bowl. But pretty much the entire lower bowl was filled on that one, with the exception of the bleacher seating that was in the outfield and right next to the pool. Yes, they did close off the pool area, but they decided to not have people in the bleacher seating that was out there as well. So I guess that was the call on them to go along with that. I don't know on that one, but overall, there was really no other sections really tarped off in any way as for the show as a whole on that one, with those exceptions that were in the direct outfield sides of everything. So yeah, overall, very filled stadium, a very filled stadium to go along with it. So that's kind of a little gauge of what the inside, what it was inside. I don't know how it came off on TV and everything. I'll have to watch it back at some point, but it felt unique. It felt different. I'll give it that one. I'll give it that one. I thought it gave it a definite unique feel and a unique vibe, even with the factors of quote unquote the setting being kind of basic. I actually liked it because the whole aspect of them coming out of the dugout and coming up and out, I thought it was a really cool aspect to it. I'm hoping that it came off really well on TV. Just also the aspect of all the seats right behind the entrance ramp were filled to go along with it. So I bet that gave off a really good dynamic to go along with it as well. Having the crowd there right behind the superstars coming in. Something we haven't seen for quite a long time. If you remember a long time ago, as I'm going to get back into the matches here briefly, very soon. But if you remember a long time ago how the entrance ramps used to work, the crowds were actually filled behind where the entrance ramps were, and it does give it a different vibe and a different feel, where not only are the superstars coming out to the people that are there, but they also got the people behind them as well. So to get a gauge for everybody, like if a superstar wanted to take a look around, they had to take a look around just to see everybody to go along with it. And I think it's a good vibe and a good look, and hopefully in more stadium shows, this is something that they go for down the line on that one. I do like it on that, at least on that side of everything. I thought it looked really good on that one. So let's get back into this, because the beginning of the show was Asuka going up against Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title, and what can you say? This was a good match. This was a damn good match, and those two did not hold back. Even considering the factor of storyline purposes for later in the show, Becky Lynch did not hold back in this match. Neither did Asuka. Also, the whole aspect of them using each other's submission holds and then transitioning it into their traditional ones to go along with it, I thought was really good. That was more towards the end of the match. The swinging fisherman buster neck breaker that was done to the outside was sick looking. And I do not envy either one of them for having to take that bump, but they decided to go there with it. Also, Becky Lynch with a top rope exploder as well inside of the match. Just really good stuff. Becky Lynch and Asuka made this look like they were really going after each other, and really it didn't feel like just a scripted match on that particular one. It felt like that those two were in a scrap, in a fight to go along with it. Like I said, the transitions towards the end of the match where Asuka looked like she was going to put in the Asuka lock, but Becky Lynch fights out of it, only to get put in the disarmor herself. So Becky has to escape the disarmor, which she does because she has the counter to that to go along with it. But then she puts Asuka into the Asuka lock. But of course, Asuka has the counter for that one, but it gets transitioned into a disarmor of her own, and Asuka was able to eventually get to the ropes. On that particular one. The ending transition, they continued this trading of submission holds for a good chunk of time, and then it looked like Asuka was going to put in the Asuka lock, but Becky was going to counter again. But then she switches the Asuka lock into a variation of an Asuka lock and cattle mutilation, or into a variation of the Muda lock, I think on that one. And Becky Lynch ends out tapping out. No shenanigans, no nothing. I thought this was a really good way of going, and I thought it worked out really, really well, especially for what they decided to tell us later in the evening in the terms of storyline to go along with it on that one. So this brings us next to the SmackDown Tag Team title match, which was Shane McMahon and The Miz going up against the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. And as much as you really want to fully go off on everything with this one, and I know a lot of people go off on Shane McMahon for, you know, doing too much. And honestly, I feel like he did do too much in this match. He felt like he was the dominant force on his team, which I don't feel like he really should be on that particular side of everything. But Miz has always played the weaker role for a tag team and everything to go along with that. So I thought this one ended up kind of working out really well, and it was really, really good. Honestly, it was a good match. Again, another good match to go along with it. Maybe Shane did do a little too much in there inside of the match. It looked like they were doing everything to set up his usual crazy spots, but it would continually get countered at every turn. Shane tried to set up the table spot. Miz was holding down Cesaro, but Sheamus comes in and breaks it up. The really, really good spot in there, which I'll talk about in a bit, because also kind of speaking on that one, Miz was the one pretty much taking most of the punishment throughout the match. And, of course, Shane gets the hot tag, which he ends up doing in there, and, of course, starts throwing those really bad jabs that he usually does, is what it is, I guess. And it can't, but he eventually set up Sheamus and Cesaro. Yes, that's right, Shane was able to single-handedly hold his own against Sheamus and Cesaro. Again, not the biggest fan of that, but I thought the match itself was a very entertaining one. He sets up for a double coast to coast. Cesaro catches him and ends out giving what has to be the longest swing he's done in probably a year and a half. I think it was about 20 rotations that we ended up counting in the end. And it came off, that came off really good to go along with it. This set up for the finish where it looked like Sheamus, and remember, Shane and Cesaro are the legal people in the match. Sheamus was going to go for the bro kick. Cesaro was holding him. Miz comes in as he's going for the bro kick, pushes Cesaro and knocks Shane out of the way. Cesaro gets hit with the bro kick. Sheamus eats a skull-crushing finale from the Miz, and Shane McMahon scales the ropes and does a picture-perfect freaking shooting star press to pick up the victory. Again, really fun match. Let's be fair on that one. It was a really fun match, and it came off really good on that side of everything. So, and of course, after the match, they celebrated with Miz's dad. He held both the tag titles, everything to go along with it. He was at ringside throughout that entire bit on that one. So that was a really cool little moment to go along with it. And this brings us into the third match of the night, which was Sasha Banks going up against Ronda Rousey. And why are people still saying Ronda's no good, at least at the in-ring portion? I'll give them microphone to a certain degree. I will give them the microphone to a certain degree on that one, but this showed here that Ronda is really, really good at this at the in-ring portion and at the wrestling side, because the story that they were telling in this match was absolutely fantastic. This was probably the singles match of the night. In the terms of a non-Rumble match, if this was very close to being that, if not the best non-Rumble match of the night, to be completely honest with you. I absolutely love this match. The two of them just like go throughout the entire time. It might have been slow for maybe the first couple of minutes, but afterwards they picked up a relentless pace that never let up. And even to the point that it's like they're putting themselves into submission holds, and people are thinking it's like, oh, rest hold. No, not rest holds. They were doing extra things to go along with that to kind of tell the story of what was going on. They even did a bit where they even did a thing setting up the match, if you were able to catch it on YouTube beforehand, where Sasha was going and learning submission counters, submission holds, everything in that style, and you see that in this match. She even kind of goes a little bit of Zack Sabre Jr. for a little bit on Ronda, because she was bending the arm back but also bending the wrist to go along with it on that side of everything. And it was fantastic to see what they were doing. But the other portion of the story that they were telling, that Sasha was able to always find her way out of the armbar, with the exception of the one time that she dove out of the ring, got caught, and Ronda was able to lock in the armbar, gets a visual tap on that one, but since it was outside the ring, it does not count. Sasha does lock in the bank statement a couple of different times, and they just continually, like, unrelenting pace throughout the entire match. Eventually, after I think it was the third variation of the Piper's Pit, that spinning slam that Ronda does, she was able to finally pick up the victory. And I liked how she wasn't able to get over to off of her back, so she made sure to lift a shoulder to fully make sure that she was not getting counted for a pin herself to go along with it. I absolutely love this match. It was great. It was unrelenting, fast-paced, and it was right there in your face. It was great on that one. It showed that Sasha is still one of the better ones in the ring, and it's one of those matches that says, like, anybody who's detracting that Ronda is not good in the ring, what? On that particular one, I'm gonna be with a lot of other people on this one. It's like, I don't get the hatred for Ronda's matches at this point in time. I don't. I never did. Because ever since WrestleMania, I don't really, like, in ring, I don't think I've seen a bad match from her. There's been some weaker ones, let's be fair, but in the terms of just overall bad, I haven't really seen it on that side of everything. So I guess it kind of is what it is at that point in time to go along with it. That's how I ended up feeling about it. I thought this was really good. Up there for match of the night to go along with it. So up next was the Women's Royal Rumble match. And no, I have not written down the order of entrance or anything to go along with that. So I'll just talk about it as much as I possibly can. So it did start off with Lacey Evans and Natalya. Lacey Evans got some promo time right before the match, which is, you know, showing that they might have a lot of promise for Lacey Evans down the line. She did get a good showing in this match to go along with it. On that particular one, the one thing to really notice about this entire match was that they put the focus of the match around current day, all current day. There was no legends, no this, no that. The only surprises were NXT people such as Xia Li, Candice LeRae, Kairi Sane, people like that. Rhea Ripley showing up inside of the match. Obviously, you also had people who just come up from NXT with Nikki Cross, who got a huge pop. Lacey Evans being in the match as well. I'm trying to remember everybody in there. Io Shirai being in the match, getting to do her moonsault, and it was Katie, oh, I forget how to say her last name, the woman from American Ninja Warrior being in the match, actually also getting a really good spot to go along with it inside of there. On that particular one, I thought a lot of this was really good, and it was a lot longer than I thought it was to go along with that. Again, I don't remember everything outside of more spots than it was anything else. The stuff with Naomi and Mandy Rose, some good extra storytelling to go along with that. You know, Naomi eliminating Mandy Rose, it looked like Naomi was also going to save herself. After she did, Mandy Rose sneaks back in and just eliminates Naomi to go along with it on that particular one. Good spots like that. The stuff with Zelina Vega I thought was absolutely fantastic, and they used the right touches of comedy in this, and not just in this match, but in the men's match as well. There wasn't too much comedy, but there was a little touches of it here and there that I thought was really good. Oddly enough, the stuff with Alicia Fox and Maria I thought was actually very good to go along with that as well, with it looking like they were going to team up, and then Maria was stomping the hat, the captain's hat, to go along with it. But the stuff with Zelina Vega where she sneaks under the ring and just like every now and again for like about 5 minutes just like pokes her head out, looks around, and then back under the ring. Eventually Dana Brooke gets eliminated, and you see Zelina Vega just laughing and pointing at her, and then all of a sudden Hornswoggle shows up and chases Zelina Vega around the ring, gets her back in the ring. She gets immediately eliminated by Rhea Ripley, and then Hornswoggle chases her to the back. That's comedy spots that's actually good. Let's be fair on that one. That was actually good stuff to go along with it. And yeah, that was just overall enjoyable little spots to go along with it. Alexa Bliss got herself a very good pop coming back into the ring for the first time since, was it September or October? It's been a while on that one. But this gets us down to the end of the match, and again, this made the pre-show actually mean something, because they played off of the storyline that Lana got injured during the pre-show time. She rolled her ankle, sprained her ankle, whatever it ended up being on that particular one, and she starts coming out to the ring, like, for whatever reason. It's kind of weird in the terms of that the doctors would even let her go out there to begin with. They could have probably gone a completely different way with that, but she tries to make her way down to the ring, is barely able to get anywhere down the rampway. Nia Jax comes out at number 29, beats up Lana a little bit, and hits her ankle for good measure, and then heads down to the ring. Carmella comes out, and before the place starts turning on the match, because Becky did not come out, all of a sudden Becky Lynch comes out, and apparently Fit Finlay has booking power now in some way, shape, or form, because she pleads her case to Fit Finlay. It's like, Lana can't go, put me in the match, let me in, to go along with it. And it's like initially saying no, and she keeps pleading the case, and eventually Finlay's like, there you go. And then Becky's off to the ring, and then we were fully ongoing for the end of the match. There were a few different eliminations to go along during that time frame to set up the final four, which was Nia Jax, Charlotte, and Bayley. Charlotte hits Nia Jax, and it ends out eliminating Bayley in the process with a big boot. And then eventually Charlotte gets Nia to the outside of the ring, but Nia looks like she is going to fight it off, and then lo and behold, Becky Lynch just pulls Nia Jax off of the ring apron, and Nia Jax was eliminated. So you're starting to get an initial stare down between Becky and Charlotte. As Becky gets on the stairs to get back into the ring, she gets shoved off of it, tweaks her leg, and that's where the injury angle or the injury bits kind of started with that one. Charlotte was absolutely fantastic during this time because she's doing nothing but laughing at the whole thing, because Becky's on the outside of the ring. She's trying to get back in but can't put any weight on the leg, but eventually gets herself back in when it looked like maybe the refs were going to just stop it, and they were going forward on everything that on that particular one. Eventually Becky looks like she's on the outside of the ring, and Charlotte was going to eliminate her, but Becky dodges a big boot, which sends Charlotte over, and eventually Becky was able to get herself back in the ring, and they start fighting where Charlotte's on the outside, Becky's in the ring, and eventually it leads to a big forearm from Becky Lynch, which forces Charlotte, knocks Charlotte down, and she couldn't keep her footing on the ring apron and slowly falls off and falls down to the ground, gets eliminated, and Becky Lynch wins the Royal Rumble. I took a look at this later, and it was an hour and 12 minutes. I knew it was long. I didn't realize it was that long. That might be one of the longest Royal Rumbles that they've had on either side, period. To go along with it, and honestly, it was really good. I thought there was cool little story beats throughout the entire match, and of course, in the end, Becky Lynch does eventually come out and enters the match and wins the match to go along with it. The crowd was left happy with that particular one, and I thought the match itself came off great. So this gets us to what is more than likely the downturn, the one downturn of the night. And honestly, I didn't even really think it was that much of a downturn. It was just that the crowd could not do something in there to get that crowd into it, because I thought the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match was excellent. It was just not getting any kind of a crowd reaction, whether it was based off of placement. I don't think it was necessarily based off of placement, because they were telling themselves a more methodical story of Daniel Bryan working over AJ Styles' arm so he couldn't do a phenomenal forearm, everything on that particular side to go along with it, and trying to get rid of some of his offense, which was springboard offense, everything to go along with that throughout the match. I thought the match itself, again, story-wise, was told excellently. It gets a bit of a downturn because they just couldn't get the most of the other crowd into it on that side of everything. So you could definitely feel it inside of the arena as well, that it's like just whatever it was, the crowd just was not getting into this particular match. AJ Styles does do his moonsault into reverse DDT on the outside of the ring. Looked absolutely brutal, was fantastic. It gets down, but they keep going a bit of a back and forth, but eventually, probably within the last 5 minutes of the match, all of a sudden Eric Rowan just starts walking down the entrance ramp, and it's like, without really any fanfare to it. It was a little bit weird to go along with it. And he just makes his way to the ringside, kind of stands where the announcers would be for the rest of the match. And then, of course, he gets involved. Eventually, a errant enziguri from, not AJ, but from Daniel Bryan, hits the referee, causes the ref bump. Daniel Bryan gets hit with the Styles Clash. Obviously, no pin can be made because the ref was out. Eric Rowan gets into the ring, and honestly, I liked the move that he did. So he palmed AJ Styles' head and lifts him up for a choke slam. That's a good one. I'm not gonna lie, that was a good one. But eventually, the referee comes to. Daniel Bryan pins AJ Styles. A lot of people thought he was going to kick out there, but they are really putting over this new move or this variation of a choke slam from Eric Rowan. AJ Styles doesn't kick out. Daniel Bryan is still WWE champion. And again, I thought the match was excellent. It obviously gets a little bit of a downgrade because the crowd just didn't really get into it in any way, shape, or form on that particular one. At least on that side of everything. But honestly, the in-ring stuff I thought was really good. I found it enjoyable on my side of everything. Obviously, the rest of the crowd didn't think so much of it on that particular one, on that side of everything. So, this leads us to the Universal title match, which was Finn Balor going up against Brock Lesnar. And a match where we just came off of that was a little bit more methodical and storyline based, which, don't get me wrong, they were telling a good story in this one because this was also an excellent match. A much shorter match where AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan was kind of about 25 minutes. This one went about 10, a little bit under 9 on that one. But I thought the story that Balor and Lesnar told was really good. And again, Brock is one of those guys, when you think he won't sell, he sells. And he sells hard. And he sells really good, especially for opponents when he gets in there, such as CM Punk. Such as much as I don't care about CM Punk, you have to admit, that was probably one of Brock Lesnar's best matches since the return in 2012. To go along with it. His match with AJ Styles. Match with Daniel Bryan. Anybody who is considered under that smaller side of everything, he's willing to sell, makes it believable to a certain degree, but doesn't make it look like it's like, oh, they're just going toe-to-toe with him. No, they come up with different ways of making it believable that, yeah, Brock messed up here, so now the guy is able to take the advantage, and that's what ended up happening here. So Finn does come out as a house of fire. Looks like he's trying to go toe-to-toe with Brock. Does gain the advantage for a little bit, but eventually this goes to the outside of the ring. He was using the belly-to-belly suplex more than the German suplex in this particular match. Eventually, Finn gets thrown outside, does a couple more belly-to-bellies outside. Looks like he was going to go for a power slam to the table, one of the announce tables. And lo and behold, Finn counters and pushes Brock in his abdomen area into what looked like the corner of the table, which looked absolutely brutal. And then he does shove him in there one more time, and Brock was selling the ribs for the rest of the match and the abdomen area for the rest of the match, even to the point that he had issues even picking up Finn to do suplexes or the F5. Eventually, he does go for the F5, but it gets countered into a DDT on that one. And I don't know how it came off on TV, but the crowd was going absolutely crazy anytime Finn was getting offense inside of there, and was really behind it, was really hoping that maybe they would shock us and put the title on Balor. Though most of us probably recognize that it was probably not going to happen on that particular one. As much as I would have marked out if Finn did win, I kind of was expecting him not to. But they got us into this match. And you got a close near fall off that DDT. But even a closer near fall when Balor was able to hit the coup de grace on Brock Lesnar. But Brock kicks out and puts on the Kimura lock. And lo and behold, he had to do something different other than the F5 and a bunch of German suplexes to pick up a victory. Finn tries to fight out of it as much as he can, but eventually taps out to the Kimura lock. And it was under a 9-minute match, but it was really good. It was really good. Unrelenting pace again. Brock sold. Made it believable that, yeah, he got himself injured. And gave a reason for Balor to really have an advantage at some point in the match. After the match, this makes you believe that maybe there's going to be something more between the two of them. Because Brock Lesnar, unlike many of his other matches after he wins, he just leaves. Here, Brock decides to beat up Finn some more. Starts doing some German suplexes and eventually hits him with an F5 before leaving. So leaves him lying afterwards and beats him down a little bit more. So it makes you almost believe that, are they going to do a little bit more with this, or where they're going to go with everything? Because obviously next was the men's Royal Rumble match. And again, I don't remember the order of entrance and everything to go along with that. It's hard to keep track of that one while you're in the arena to go along with it. But in all honesty, the men's Royal Rumble match was also really good. Let's be fair on that one. Nice little story beats throughout the entire match to go along with that as well. The Curt Hawkins stuff with Titus O'Neil, again, little touches of comedy here and there, I thought were really good. Samoa Joe coming out and being pretty much a wrecking machine throughout the entire match. Mustafa Ali getting a very good showing of his for himself as well. To go along with that, he even eliminates Shinsuke Nakamura, who came in at number 3. It started off with Jeff Jarrett and Elias. Well, Elias in the ring looking like he was about to start a concert. He gets interrupted by Jeff Jarrett. And pretty much goes heel on Jeff Jarrett in this sense, because I guess Jeff Jarrett is a legend on that one. Most of them are considered face at that point in time. And eliminates Jeff Jarrett right off the bat on that one before Shinsuke ends up coming out on that side of everything. The NXT call-ups were really good touch as well. In the terms of legends, you really only have one person who would be considered a full legend. Though if you consider Kurt a legend to go along with that, I guess that's fair as well, that he would be considered a legend on that side. So maybe that kind of plays into effect on that one as well. But again, not much usage of legends, more main roster and NXT, which we did have some NXT guys show up in there as well. We had ourselves Johnny Gargano showing up. Aleister Black came in there. Pete Dunne was in the match. I'm sure I'm missing somebody in here to go along with that. Oh, I missed that. I missed that one during the Women's Rumble. You even had the bit with Selena Vega and Candice LeRae playing off of their NXT feud to go along with it. I like the fact that they played off of that. Johnny Gargano did get an elimination with eliminating Jinder Mahal, but also Aleister Black eliminated Dean Ambrose in the match as well to go along with that. Seth Rollins ended up coming out at number 10, which you were kind of expecting him to be the one that would go over in this particular match. Though, if there's one thing that they did good about this match, is that they kept the two more likely to win guys in the match the entire time, and they were the final two. And this was also the same for the Women's Royal Rumble. You expected Charlotte to be at the end and even potentially win, and you expect Becky to be at the end and win as well. And who, lo and behold, who were the final two? Becky and Charlotte. And we'll talk about the final two here as well, but that was still the same case to go along with that on that side of everything. Titus O'Neil, they played off of the Titus World Slide thing. I like that. I like the whole aspect that he got annoyed that Curt Hawkins poked his head out of the ring and decided to go underneath the ring along with them. They chase out to the other side, and Curt Hawkins actually gets an elimination by getting rid of Titus O'Neil, but immediately gets eliminated himself on that particular one. Bobby Lashley lasted not too long in the match, gets eliminated by Seth Rollins, but decides to pull Seth Rollins out of the ring and ends up destroying him outside the ring before to, I guess, maybe give him the break at that point in time on that one. He ends up putting him through the English announce table. And again, a lot of the little story beats that they were kind of going about in here, I thought were pretty good. Braun Strowman comes out at number 27, He was apparently the replacement for the injured John Cena, which was pretty much, I think they had other plans for him to be injured outside of what they decided to come up with on that particular one, which I think they were going to probably do this like weeks in advance versus just like the day of, that they would take him out of the match to go along with that. The rumor thing was that Lars Sullivan was going to attack him and take him out, and that was going to be their way out of the match, him being out of the match. But they had to go with an ankle injury that was apparently given to him by Drew McIntyre on that one to go along with it. But that's how it ended up going on that side of everything in the terms of kayfabe, because unfortunately Lars had that anxiety attack to go along with it, so they could not go with the traditional plan that, well, I can't say the traditional plan, because we don't know if that was the actual plan on that particular one. That's the rumored plan to go along with it, but this is how they ended up getting Cena out of the match. Braun took his place, and then, of course, Randy Orton and Dolph Ziggler came out. Ziggler eliminated Drew McIntyre. And I was kind of disappointed on that particular one, that Ziggler was the one that eliminates Drew McIntyre. So number 30 comes out, and we knew it was R-Truth from the Mixed Match Challenge and everything. A lot of people were expecting him to get beaten up in some way, and then whomever was going to be the real number 30 was going to be the number 30. So R-Truth comes out. It's like, oh, so it is just going to be R-Truth. And he starts rapping at the entranceway and does the what's up a couple times, and then lo and behold, he gets attacked. And who attacks him? Nia Jax. Interesting choice. I'm not going to say that I did not enjoy this. I thought this was a great little bit there. And is this their way? Is this WWE's way of saying, it's like, maybe we're going to allow a little bit more of intergender interaction in the terms of potential matches or moves or anything to go along with that, because that's what this was in this sense. So Nia Jax beats up R-Truth, takes his spot, essentially what Becky had done earlier, with the exception she didn't beat up Lana on that particular one. So Nia makes her own opportunity and goes to the ring. She eliminates Mustafa Ali, again, who had a very good showing in the match. Again, he eliminated Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe in the match. So there's a couple of potential storylines for Mustafa coming down the line. But the thing that I liked about this one is, like, everybody was like, what's going on? And how are they going to eliminate Nia? Were they going to start... were they going to allow the male superstars to do anything to Nia? Were they going to do something else to eliminate her to go along with it? So she starts beating up on a couple of the other different superstars. After she eliminates Mustafa, you have Randy Orton just sleeking right behind her. And then you just got everybody almost with a little bit of a confused look and also a little bit of trepidation. It's like, do we do this? What's going on? Type of thing. Randy Orton goes for an RKO, gets countered, and Nia knocks down Randy. Then she goes after Rey Mysterio, and it looks like she's going to eliminate Rey Mysterio. But then lo and behold, she turns around and eats a super kick from Dolph Ziggler, which eventually goes into a 619, into an RKO, and then they eliminate Nia Jax. And, you know, on this one, it's always hard to say. I enjoyed what they did here. The reason why I enjoyed what they did here was an aspect of what they went about. They showed Nia as a dominant force in this particular side of everything by coming out there, taking out R-Truth, storming down to the ring. So she gets to play the heel because R-Truth's the face there. She beats down R-Truth, takes his spot, comes down there, doesn't hold back from anybody. to go along with that. Immediately goes after everyone inside the match. Again, looking like a dominant force and getting an elimination. And even to the point that straight up, Randy Orton didn't really hold his own until after she got the other moves to go along with it. It's always hard to say about intergender interactions in matches. Obviously, it was more commonplace in the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era stuff. Not so much during this time, at least in the terms of purposeful interaction. It's always been more accidental to go along with it. And I thought the story that they told here with Nia came off really good. It did. It got the crowd into it. The crowd was into the match in general, but it got a true reaction from the crowd, positively even towards Nia Jax, because there was a good portion of the crowd cheering the fact that Nia was going down to the ring and gonna step into the ring with everyone to try to win the Men's Royal Rumble on that particular one. Even to the point that they were a little bit disappointed that she ended up getting eliminated as well. Even to and she even does save herself in the match once. So all in all, I thought it was a good way of going about it. I don't know how much more they're going to do about this, about that on that side of everything, but what they did here I thought was really good. Eventually, but you know, going forward after that, we'll see if there's going to be any more intergender type stuff. Is this WWE saying like we're going to explore this route a little bit more, or is this just like a one-time thing to go along with it? We'll see how it ends out going on that particular side. But all in all, I thought that was a really cool spot and something I don't think anybody saw coming on that particular one. So I mean, we'll see how it ends, how it fully ends out going down the line on anything on that side, or if this was just going to be a one-off thing to go along with it. So continuing on with the match, it eventually does come down to the final four. Andrade eliminates Randy Orton after he gets rid of Rey Mysterio. So it's not the usual suspects. It's Dolph Ziggler, Andrade, Cien Almas, it was Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins get back into the ring at this point. They had been taken out at certain points in time outside the ring, but were not eliminated from the match. Obviously, Seth was finally getting back in there after getting put through the table. And eventually Dolph Ziggler gets eliminated, and then Andrade gets eliminated by Braun Strowman, and it was down to Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman. Again, the two that you would probably expect to win this match on that particular side. Again, I thought what they did here was really good because they teased both of them really winning the match, but eventually it was both of them on the ring apron, and Seth knocks Strowman into the post, super kicks him, which takes him down to a knee, and does a stomp on the apron to eventually pick up the victory. All in all, enjoyable. Again, the story beats that they were doing inside the match I thought were really good on that side of everything, and I thought came off really well on that one as well. So overall, Men's Rumble, again, very enjoyable. Overall, the show was, yeah, in the terms of the main show, it was a 5-hour show. 7 hours if you were there for the entire pre-show to go along with it. But I can't really say anything too negative about it on that one. I was thoroughly into the entire thing throughout the time that I was there to go along with it inside of the arena. And overall, I thought it was really good. It was just a really good beginning to end show. Obviously, the crowd was not into the AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan stuff. I was into that probably a little bit more than some of the other people on that one, or not some of, but most of the crowd that was there on that side of everything. But all in all, there was not a bad match on the show. And and that's hard to say for a 5-hour show. I know there were 2 Rumble matches in there, and one went 72 minutes, the other one went just under an hour. But when you're at a 5-hour show and you can't call a bad match, I think they did something right there on that one, and I'll give them credit where credit's due on that side. This was a really good show from beginning to end. I enjoyed the Royal Rumble, and it was a lot of fun to go along with it. Obviously, you can probably tell because this entire thing has been done with my voice practically shot on this one. And hopefully it comes back in the next couple of days. I'm still, like I said, I'm filming this on Monday night and everything. Obviously, I had to go to work today, everything to go along with that. So I got to filming this a lot later than I expected. Hopefully, my voice will come back fully, and I'm able to do the NXT TakeOver review, which I have not done yet, but I do want to do one of those as well on that particular side. But all in all, the Royal Rumble, very good show. And yeah, maybe the winners of the Rumble matches were a little bit predictable, but doesn't mean it's got to be bad. And it was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this review, albeit my voice being as raspy as everything possible on that one. And again, I hope you guys, for people who watch, I hope you guys enjoyed the show as well. I thank you guys for watching this today. And peace out, take care, and have yourself a great rest of your evening.